Good
I
morning.
wonder if you saw James Heapy's opinion piece in the Sunday Telegraph this morning, where he basically asserts that the UK is failing to prepare for war. He talks about that exercise that Ben Wallace wanted to carry out, where government departments work from their bunkers, just obviously to acclimatise themselves to a worst-case scenario. I mean, do you agree with this premise that we are failing to prepare for war, Tobias?
He raises a very important issue. A lot of respect for James Heapy, one of our best armed forces ministers for a while. We were in the same regiment together, a lot of experience there. So we should listen carefully to what he says. Our world is certainly getting more dangerous, not less. We've entered a very dark chapter indeed. We see the world splintering into two competing spheres of influence: Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, pursuing a very different interpretation of our world order. And as we see, you've just been discussing the Middle East, you've got Ukraine as well, Africa too. The ability for the West to deal with individual conflicts is being tested. Indeed, our appetite is as well. We are going to face war of some form. We're not at peace now. There are different forms of warfare taking part, and we need to prepare. That is his message. And it isn't just the MOD and the FCO and Whitehall. It's actually the entire nation as well, to get over the fact that we've had 3 decades of relative peace and we've got some very difficult years ahead. There is a 1937 feel to our world now. We need to wake up for that, and that includes greater investment in defence.
If there's I mean, I know what you're saying about defence spending, because you've argued that before on this show, that defence spending should have gone up in the budget. So that was an error by Jeremy Hunt, do you think?
No, I heard that and listened carefully to what Madeline you were talking about. Absolutely agree, it's got to move to 3%. But I know this from, and James will probably agree with this, if you throw 3% at the military now, they will spend it in all sorts of curious ways, which won't necessarily align to what the threats are coming over the hill. The Army will want more tanks, more personnel. The Navy will want more ships, and obviously the RAF will want more planes. But we're being attacked in very different ways. So the first thing you do is to take stock of the types of threats that we're going to have to deal with, which can be very different from the traditional Army, Air Force or Navy. Although clearly we're going to have to defend those too. The Red Sea is a great example. I think, again, you touched on this, as to how the symbiotic relationship between our economy and our security is absolutely ever more critical than it's ever been before. If we don't defend international waters, for example, that impacts on our economy. And if it impacts on our economy, it impacts on the Treasury, and that impacts on every single department, not just the MOD. That's why we first need to have a defence review before we throw money at the MOD or our security in general.